what you're
public
doing.
is going to confuse by the
Correct.
discussion.
Yeah.
It is not. There is a force within a force in the police. So what are you going to
So
do?
whose fault
You want
is that?
information.
Whose
Welcome
fault
back.
is
It's not
that?
a policeman's
Welcome back.
problem.
Chris.
No.
Chris.
It's not.
Welcome back to this edition of the 933 KFM Hot Seat, the Friday fun of journalists.
It is
And the
as
show is
usual.
brought to you by Nile Gold, the coffee we drink is supplied by
I
Fanta.
want to inform
I
John
think for
that
me, if you're a policeman,
there is a force within the police that's been commanded by PGB.
We're all aware of that.
Operationally, it's not a PGB, but they are policemen. So which police are you talking about? That's what I'm saying. Before you pass judgment on them.
let me tell you something.
So where is the
please.
problem coming from?
So in that instance, whoever is in the police force should accept everything.
That's what you seem to be
If you are going to
suggesting.
take, if you are going to take, if you are going to take taxpayers' money as
But
salary,
why
and you
you-
accept that environment,
But
you should
why,
accept even the
Nicholas,
to
you
come your
saying
side.
that Chris is advancing a point that the police is doing some good?
That's
By the way,
what I'm saying.
First, I will recommend. Chris doesn't like this, but I will recommend 2 books on this show. One is the book I'm reading now. It's Discipline and Punish, by Michel Foucault. But another important book to read, is by Philip Zimbardo, who did that Stanford prison experiment that explained why evil happens. And his construction was very simple. He says evil happens. First of all, he draws a distinction, which you're trying to draw, which is that argument that they are bad apples, is a wrong one. Secondly, he says that hierarchy plays an important role
That's what I'm saying.
in impunity. And,
That is my point.
And
In other words.
Zimbardo says, I've made this argument to Charles before, that look, in a situation where evil happens, never always look at the who, look at the what. And this superior orders is how he defines evil. Evil is blind obedience to authority. Now, the authority structures we are examining, John, in our analysis, is to say, no, look, there are 2 layers or even 3 layers of what you call the Uganda police force. You can say demand high standards, but at least concede that today the force we knew is not a civilian force. The head
And
of
people who
police
join the police,
is a military
Charles,
man.
No one
do
is-
not
no one is
join
denying
the
that.
police
Was a
to
No
go
one's
and
not
brutalize
denying
people.
that. That's well
They
known.
find a job description
Everybody in
when
this
they are
room
innocent.
knows that. The point here is that we can't say that because somebody is under command
that
to
book is
do
called The Lucifer
something,
Effect, sorry.
therefore it's justifiable.
By Zimbabwe.
It was
Yeah,
this
Zimbabwe.
rationale that led to genocide in Nazi Germany and so many other horrific acts.
Now
on
we have
this
gone
planet. So
wrong.
if you're taking orders
If
from
you
a
bring
bad
in
chain of
Nazi-
command, you need to try to
You
resist.
have gone wrong now. You
No,
are
we
missing the
haven't,
point.
because it's this kind
The
of
point we are saying here, John,
this kind of
is
justification that
when
leads
these
to those
young
kind of
men and
barbaric
women,
acts.
when these old men join the police force, they are joining me. They are going to keep law and order. The job description is not given to them until they are passed out. And the job description means when you get in grid, whatever means you do, arrest her.
I
So
think
how do you
there
expect
are
them to
2
do?
things that we're ignoring.
It is hierarchy.
There are 2 things that we're ignoring. There is a problem within the Uganda police force, I've been told. One is some of the officers or the men and women wearing uniform did not get the full training because they were pulled out of Kabaye 3 months into training because they had to come and control the election process.
What
And
amount
they
of
never
training do you
listen,
need to know that it's
hold-
wrong
hold
to
a
follow
moment.
a woman?
They never went back to complete their
We are
training,
splitting, yes,
and they
yes.
cannot take them back. The second thing is what kind of training is being offered in Kabaye.
The police training and the military training
Angelo,
is not separable
on behalf
today.
of Chris, I will also recommend that you read a book, Martin Meredith, The State of Africa.
You take your
He's
books away. They are
yes,
not all
yeah,
of
yeah,
the
have a look at that.
I have my own copy.
Yes.
But then, Charles, the argument you're making is that Andrew Kawesi, that's his name. He was here.
Yes, the Metropolitan Police Commander.
Came and said, look, these men here are rejects of society who you often send for us to panel beat in the police who return them to basically terrorize you. Don't be surprised, that. But I think that the key thing about hierarchy is when you market impunity like the police has done, where, for instance, the Arinaites get away with no public punishment. Lower officers, look at this, and when they meet Nicholas, they are, as far as they are concerned, the threshold for tolerance for that kind of behavior is very high, and that is the institutional story of police.
Why is the
brutality.
Minister of Internal Affairs
Yes.
in this picture, my brother John?
Can
Why is the Commander-in-Chief in this picture? Ingrid is a politician.
And-
What is the Minister of Internal Affairs? He's a politician.
Chris, you're talking about the
Why are
Minister
they
of Internal
quiet?
Affairs, who called a leader of a civil society organization yesterday into his office and warned her and told her, you need to go and apologize to Ugandans, apologize to the president, because you were advocating this controversy in over the Mubende forest in his office.
So do you need to blame the police now? You know where orders are coming from?
We need to move on, gentlemen and lady. It's tied to what is going on in the country. Timothy, what's your reading and interpretation of this controversy surrounding the Muslim community? It has a history.
Now that's another complicated story. In Uganda, it's complicated for the fact that, well, as I said, you just wonder what can you say with people who take certain matters to heart. But also, yes, this now is well. The only question becomes, somebody asked yesterday on CBS. He said, "But how come, when other Christian groups have their feuds, they're settled more like out of court in the pulpit? Why must Muslim matters be settled in State House?" So it is hard to know. I mean, there are those factions, the two warring factions between the Chief Mufti
and the Supreme Mufti and the Mufti of Uganda.
The Mufti of Uganda. So if you want to go into details, it becomes just one of those things, different, the Chibuli group versus that of Kampala. There's this perception of certain people who feel, like the way, sort of like an echo of what people first felt when Norbert Mao became the president of DP. This feeling of somehow it's an unstated idea that the president of the Democratic Party must be a Muganda Catholic. So when this Luo from Acholi becomes president of DP, some of that, the breakaway faction, at least the one that resisted him in Mbale, it was felt like, sure, how come this Acholi becomes DP president? So there's that feeling of when this man comes from Mbale, Mwaje, there's some feeling of those purists of how come, the chief, how does this happen that the chief mufti become is Mugisu. And also, of course, the traditional story of Uganda. I mean, in the Middle East now, there are those parallels. There's the Shia versus the Sunni struggle. So, you might be familiar that Iran is quietly, it's Iran Shia majority, but minority within the Islamic faith, trying to gain a foothold in several parts of the world. So you can't rule out money coming in from Saudi Arabia and then money coming in from, let's say, Iran, the way it is in Uganda. But once again, for me, the most important part was just the political side of it, the unintended political side of it. Try to send an SMS to friends and people. Can you imagine, every 2 days now, we have a situation of sort of like chaos. I mean, it's like, how many groups is this government going to antagonize? Now the latest is the Muslims. They've had their share of Pink.
Let me throw this in. Should we ignore the fact that when Mubarak came to power, one of his pledges was, he said, I'm a 40-year-old. I can't wait until I'm 70 to be able to leave. I am going to reform the constitution of the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council. He's not delivered on that. And when did he come to power? I don't remember. Many years ago.
It's like the FUFA wrangle. You know how Uganda, everything, the intrigue from State House has now become a way of life everywhere. You go into FUFA, there is that wrangles. Uganda Olympic Committee, Makere, there's faction this, NRM.
Tim, let me come in here. You see, your analysis is good, but there's something it's lacking. When Mubarak came in, he had been accepted. Where do Mubarak's problems start?
Yes.
It is when he started the business of selling property.
Property.
This is property he holds in trust. Then you see one mosque, is it Drake? I don't know who you sell to. Then you sell property, without following the proper channels. And who are the people he's selling to? It's a one Basaja Balaba, the one who can receive 142 billion from where? So. And people are beginning
also
to
Muslim.
say, also Muslim, and people are beginning to say, who had hotels which were selling pork, and people are beginning to say, who is Basaja Balaba? Like we have always asked, and people are always asking, who is this Basaja Balaba? For instance, if you go the land they are selling at the clock tower, who is Basaja Balaba? Is it a man? Is it a woman? Is it a man who's 5'2", or a woman 6'4"? Who is
I thought he's
so,
known.
No. Who is he? So he's still mysterious.
He's the front manager. He's the front manager of certain head of state.
So who?
He's the business manager.
So that is the issue that is bringing so many problems for these people.
Charles,
Most of these people are saying.
How I look at
listen. Let me just complete. Most of these people are saying, illiterate, murderers, and what Idi Amin helped to accumulate some of this property. So why are you just dishing it out like that? Where are you taking the money? Who is this invisible hand that we are not seeing? If you get to answer those questions, you will know why these people.
Okay, let me throw it around the table. Chris, have we done deeper investigation into what actually is behind these latest wrangles and how they will be?
There's nothing you can investigate because there's a history to these wrangles. I want to begin by answering who's Basaya Balaba. Sometimes we waste our time. Basaya Balaba, even in fact I have no problem with him. He's a businessman. He looks for money. If he's being used for commission, so be it. That is business. You don't go into business not to get the money. So whoever brings the money and you know it benefits you, you get it. So you better look for who is that one giving him business. That's not his problem. We waste time Basaya Balaba and don't address the real issues. Basaya Balaba continue.
And it's perfectly normal to be a commission agent.
Completely normal. There are many in town survive like that.
And
Land
leave.
commission, what. So they do it. So why do we go to Basaja? Make your money from Ugandans. If they give you the Hollow Bank, take it. If they give you 10% out of it, that is Basaja Balaba. Perfectly okay. It is you and me to find out who are these people using Basaja.
That's what Nick is asking.
But
This is exactly what I'm
That's
asking.
what I'm asking. But if we keep attacking him, who is this?
No.
man?
That
Who's
is
the
what I'm
person?
saying. I've said, who is the person?
Yeah,
I
so
want you to
that,
understand
the person
that.
who is the
Who was
person
the
we need to
captain?
answer. Who is the person using him?
He is behind.
We need to answer. Why aren't we answering?
And
No,
that's
if
and
you
that's
want
why
me to answer,
Chris,
I'm very straight.
Chris, and that's why I was
President
asking you:
Museveni-
is Basaja Balaba a man or a woman?
Museveni works with Basaya Balaba. Janet Museveni works with Basaya Balaba. Find out what are they relating in. Are they interested in the businesses he does? Are they not? Since they are our leaders, why are they not raining on him not to be taking such big money? These are questions to be asked if you want me to say what's happening. But we are discussing Muslim angles.
Yes.
And I was giving you a
more to those
context.
Muslim wrangles
Yes.
than.
Part of that is the issues he's bringing. But they saw that issue of tribalism. We can't rule it out. And the money. God, Allah bless me here and the hereafter is the principle. So everyone wants to be blessed here and then hereafter. It's part of the responsibility for this kind of conflict. But our religious leaders have found themselves in a situation where it is difficult for them to get out, including Mugabe. In the beginning, I said this before, they slept. When the President Museveni was coming in, they all went. He first of all used to use religious leaders to help him in the bush. You know that. Some reverends would take bullets, guns. So when he came to power, he continued relating with them, and every group would go. And then there was a creation of these other now churches, revival ministries of God's salvation, God's spiritual healing of the vulnerable. They are all soldiers getting per diem from State House. Instead of God protecting them, it was the God and the pistol and the bodyguards. So they became part of the state. Our Muslim brothers, every dua, State House is hosting us for dinner. You know, breaking the fast. President is hosting. Yes. The Quran and the Bible say the rich should give to the poor. I've never seen student children being hosted in the State House for Christmas, but the sheikhs and the priests are ready to partake of state benefits. Now, the same sheikhs, the same reverends are facing problems from the communities. People are now deprived. They go to them school fees. My child is sick, money. They realize there's a problem with the government. Those who speak out, they said, please don't talk about politics. Preach. Had the Mubajes concentrated on being muftis and he said we are leaders of Muslims, the state not our business, this wrangle would have been solved. They would be respecting the fellow Muslims. Had our religious priests concentrated on being preachers, and even he took the presidency as part of their folk, whom they should preach to, maybe we wouldn't be having this chaos. That's not to say they are wrong now to talk about politics.
Okay.
But they should acknowledge that their individual pursuit of comfort is responsible for this circus.
We have seen since towards the elections last year, since these factions emerged actually, that the Kibuli faction has allied itself strongly with Najana Nkumbi, the leadership of FDC. The old Kampala
And
faction,
when FDC comes to power, they will be part of
the
power.
old Kampala faction has allied itself openly and clearly with the State House. What does that mean?
They are not
John
preachers
and
anymore.
Angela, I'll come back to you after a short commercial break.
Yeah, correct. They're waiting in
They're
line.
fighting for the
They're
microphone
waiting at the
for
door
us
and
to-
saying,
you know that-
Yes.
it goes revolves and.
But you know what's interesting, Charles,
Right. But that's
is
how-
that my district, Moya, borders Yumbe. Yumbe is the only Muslim majority district in Uganda.